What is it like using the S24 on a full day of heavy use? Is the battery life enough? Is the size comfortable to use? Do the cameras leave anything to be desired? Let's go through my day and get all of these questions answered. My day started at 8 a.m. and just from initially picking up the phone, I'm reminded of how much I love the size. Of course, there are some drawbacks to the small size. For example, it's going to be a smaller battery and there's less room for camera sensors, so it's not going to have the largest sensors of any phone out there. But software has a way of combating the drawbacks, and I'm hoping that Samsung was able to minimize the drawbacks on this size. I took my time starting to stream YouTube, but I did get started within an hour of taking the phone off the charger. I made myself a little breakfast and I watched some videos while eating. When my food settled, I went for a walk. And it was a longer walk than usual because I'm trying to get back into the rhythm of these longer walks to kind of get my LBs down a little bit. So I was able to get plenty of photos and videos during my walk since it was so long. I would notice when recording video that when switching from the main sensor to the telephoto sensor, there was sometimes a large difference in exposure. I was actually able to capture this on one of my videos, but it's not like it happens all the time. For the most part, it's actually pretty close. What I think may be the cause of this is just from zooming in, the overall scene is different. So maybe the brightest parts of the main sensor are no longer present in the telephoto sensor. So that could be it. One thing that I'm really liking about the S24 is how smooth it transitions from one sensor to the next. It's the smoothest I've seen in any Samsung, and it's definitely smoother than the Pixel 8 lineups. Overall, my experience of the camera during the walk was great. The picture quality and video quality was awesome. And as long as you kept it within the range of the sensors, the outcome was very clear. Of course, this is during bright, sunny days, so it's kind of the easiest for these phones to handle. And when I got back, I sat down for a bit, relaxed, and watched some more videos. I will say that the screen vividness as it is great. I am actually enjoying it. The fact that it's not oversaturated. On the last update that I have on this phone, Samsung did add the ability to increase the saturation or the vividness, but I didn't even do that because I feel like the picture quality and the colors were pretty nice as it was and easier on the eyes really. Throughout the day, the battery size was in the back of my mind. And the reason for that is because the other phones that I've tested all have 5,000 milliamp hour batteries, and this phone is running a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. So that's 20% smaller than the other phones. I'm hoping that the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 and the software optimizations are going to make it efficient enough to last throughout the day. By 2 p.m., I had watched 2 hours of video and 1 hour of Spotify, and the phone was just around 50%. I was still missing 2 hours of video streaming, and also the phone needed to last till I went to bed. So I felt like this was going to be very close. Around this time, I went to go check on my family's dog and spend some time with them because they were out for a little bit. The drive was smooth. There wasn't too much traffic. Kind of the drives I actually really enjoy and get to, relax a little bit. As expected, the S24 provided some very smooth video on the standard steady mode when in a car. I did go back and forth and did record a few videos with the super steady mode, and it doesn't need it when you're in a car. It will be more effective if you're walking or doing something where your body is moving more. But either way, the super steady mode is providing a nice clear video, and it's not even lowering the resolution all too much. It's shooting it at QHD instead of 4K. So it is bringing it down a little bit, but it's still, above regular full HD. So when I get to the house, I let out the dog. We chill in the back for a little bit. While he's running around, I'm able to test the camera a bit more. And I get to take some pictures and videos of him running around. And it really just performed really well. And when it comes to a video, as long as you keep it under the 6x mark, the video's going to look very clear. With these photos and videos, the sun had gone down a bit. So it wasn't these ultra bright scenes where the phone doesn't struggle. It's actually a bit lower in brightness, and the phone actually behaved really well. I know that the S24, the base model, does struggle a little bit in lower light, especially with the telephoto lens. So I was expecting some graininess, but I didn't get it at this point. So it might need to be darker for the graininess to start appearing. Though I do know for a fact that the telephoto lens specifically does get very noisy in low light, because in my last video, I was using the S24 to kind of compare it with the OnePlus 12, and I tried it with the S24 Pixel 8 Pro, OnePlus 12, and the S24 Ultra with the same picture. And the S24 was the noisiest one. And in the scenario that I'm specifically talking about, it's at 10x zoom. So it was already past the capabilities of the 3x really. At A14, the phone reached 20%. And at this point, all the tasks were completed. And I know that if I were to stop using the phone so much, I would easily make it to the end of the day. But where's the challenge in that? So I kept using the phone. I just didn't record video or watch any videos. Just used it for taking notes and responding to messages. And I also read a few articles. And all of this added plenty of screen on time after the 20% mark. Let's take a look at the leaderboard and see where this phone lands. The screen on time at 20% was 5 hours and 43 minutes. And the battery percentage at the end of the day was 6%. This is quite a showing considering the phone is competing against other phones with 5,000 mAh batteries. It actually outperformed the Pixel 8 Pro and was basically on par with the Galaxy A54. This left me more shocked than the results of the S24 Ultra. What this is telling me is that the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 is very efficient running normal tasks, although I'm sure it will chug more battery under high performance use. I think it's also important to note that this test was done with the new always on display turned on. I'm sure this affects the battery in a noticeable way, and this phone would have had a gap between it and the A54 rather than basically tying it. My overall experience using the S24 during the full day challenge was better than expected, and it was enjoyable to watch the entire time. The overall size of the phone was refreshing. The fact that I was able to hold the phone without thinking I was gonna drop it because I had to adjust my grip to reach certain parts of the screen. It was just very refreshing, and I really enjoyed using a 6.2-inch screen. And the cameras, although they aren't the largest ones that Samsung offers, did perform pretty great. There were a couple of scenarios where I felt I could have used a longer reaching lens, but for the most part, the 3x lens reached far enough for most of my photos and videos. And as long as the lighting was above a certain level, the output was pretty much on the great side of things. Even in lower light, it will be pretty good, just as long as you stick to the main sensor. The 3x kind of struggles a little bit in lower light scenarios. And finally, the battery was way better than I expected. I was really expecting the S24 to be at the bottom of the list, considering that the other phones are running 5,000 mAh batteries, while this was at 4,000. But what this showed me was that the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, together with Samsung's optimization, is really efficient, and it's actually making the 4,000 mAh battery more than enough. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.